I'm Greg Funfgeld, and it's my great pleasure to welcome you to this, our 2021 August Bach at Noon. It's our last Bach at Noon for the summer here in the beautiful sanctuary of St. John's Lutheran Church. And again, let me express my appreciation to Pastor Brad Carroll, Cantor Eric Gombert, and the congregation of this church for their hospitality and their warm reception. It's wonderful to make music in this space. It is a beautiful, sacred space, and we're so grateful. So thank you for that. I'm also grateful to say that this is our 20th Bach at Noon in Allentown. We started this series, I guess 6 years ago maybe, and so this is our 20th Bach at Noon. That's a wonderful milestone. We're about to do our 115th Bach at Noon in Bethlehem. Now, I'm happy to say that we have a challenge gift from Reverend Ron Miller, a very dear friend of mine, who has been wonderfully supportive of these Bach at Noons in Allentown and made a generous endowment gift to support this August Bach at Noon. But he's made a gift of $1,000 to match any gift that you give. And I'm going to ask you specifically to consider giving $20. That's not an insignificant amount of money, I know, but I've given $20 in honor of our 20th Bach at Noon. And I'm hoping that many of you who are listening will do the same thing. You can go online and do that, or you can send it in the mail. If you print the program, number one, you'll know all of the pieces that we're doing. You'll know something about the performers. And when Dashon Burton sings these 3 incredible arias, you'll have the texts and translations. So please print the program, have it handy, and there's information there about making a donation. Your gifts help make these concerts possible, and we're very grateful. Now, the first piece on this program is a concerto by Antonio Vivaldi for 2 French horns, strings, and harpsichord. We're going to meet the French horn players and talk about that piece now. Well, for our August 2021 Bach at Noon, I'm joined by wonderful colleagues, and we're doing a concerto by Antonio Vivaldi for 2 horns, strings, and harpsichord. It's a magnificent piece, which you'll enjoy in a moment. You really can't overstate the influence of Vivaldi on Bach. Bach himself transcribed at least 9 of Vivaldi's concertos. He admired and really learned so much from Vivaldi. In his obituary, Forkel recounts something that Bach's 2 eldest sons said. They said this: "He soon began to feel that the eternal running and leaping led to nothing, that there must be order, connection, and proportion in the thoughts, and that to attain such objectives, some kind of guide was necessary." Vivaldi's concertos for the violin, which were then just published, served him for such a guide. He so often heard them praised as admirable compositions that he conceived the happy idea of arranging them all for his clavier. He studied the chain of ideas, their relation to each other, the variation of the modulations, and many other particulars. It's not an understatement in any way, or an overstatement in any way, to say that Bach's personal musical language was formed by his study and knowledge and work with the concertos and the music of Antonio Vivaldi. So now, this concerto that we're doing today for 2 horns, I have with me now Tony Cecere, our wonderful principal horn. Tony and I actually grew up on Long Island in the same hometown. He came in yesterday wearing a t-shirt that said Hicksville, which is on Long Island, about 25 miles out of Manhattan. And his younger brother Paul was in school with me in high school. But so we go back quite a long way, happily. And Karen Schubert is another brilliant French horn player, and I'm so pleased that Karen is with us again. She's been with us before for these virtual Bach at Noon, so welcome back, Karen.
Thank you.
Now, Tony, tell us a little bit about this concerto and tell us about the French horn.
Well, first about the concerto, we have information that it was published in 1711 in the big collection L'Estro Armonico, which was published in Amsterdam. And
which was well known to Bach.
okay, and so that means that it probably was written for the orphan girls at the Ospedale della Pieta in Venice, and they obviously were quite advanced. They were quite talented because this is full of flourishes, the piece, and it's full of arpeggiation that goes acrobatically all through the tessitura of the instrument, middle, low, and high. So it's a lovely showpiece. It also, in the middle movement, has a hauntingly beautiful cello solo, so we get a little bit of a break.
Yes.
As I understand it, Vivaldi actually made a little bit more money when he wrote concertos, so there was a financial incentive for him to just produce. As far as the instrument is concerned, the natural horn, these are actually classical era horns, and we are playing them instead of Baroque instruments because Baroque instruments are pitched at A415, which would not have agreed with the harpsichord tuned to modern 440 pitch. But we believe that at the time Vivaldi was working, at the time the Italian horn players were active in the Ospedale, that they did play with the right hand out of the bell. And so that, as you hear, gives a very crispy, rustic sort of a sound. Horn playing in general has its genesis from Bohemia and the part of Germany in Saxony, not very far from Dresden. And we also know that Vivaldi had a violin pupil by the name of Pisendel. And Pisendel went from Dresden to Venice and spent many, many years studying, working with Vivaldi. And the fantasy, the idea is that he somehow brought to Vivaldi's attention the idea of this instrument and what it was capable of in terms of color and just tonal variety.
Now we're going to give a demonstration of these two instruments. Tell us what we're going to hear now, just in this little demonstration.
Well, you're going to hear the opening of the third movement of the concerto, which really has these kind of signals and fanfares, and these are little motifs that probably would have been familiar to most people at the time, because coachmen and the mail services and other noble livery men, I guess you would say, use these as signaling devices. So the butchers, for example, had particular calls to show that they were arriving with their coach with fresh meat and get ready to cook this because it's perishable. So, but as you can see, it's just coiled tubing, and this part, which we call a crook, enabled you to change keys with different lengths of tube so that you could pitch the horn variously in F, E, E flat, etc.
So now we'll hear this little demonstration. Tony and Karen, thank you for that. We have the concerto to look forward to now. This is one of 2 concerti that Vivaldi wrote for 2 horns. Karen, can you say something about the other one that we're not doing today?
I'm not as familiar with that one, but I know that it's significantly more challenging, so I'm awfully glad that we went with this one for today.
This one poses plenty of challenges, but the other one is apparently just a real tour de force.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll get to that in several months' time. Well, Tony and Karen, thank you so much for being here. And now let's enjoy this wonderful Vivaldi concerto. And remember that it was such an inspiration, Vivaldi's music, to Johann Sebastian Bach and the incredible composer and musician that he would become. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Well, it's the August 2021 Bach at Noon, and as far as we can tell, this is the last one we're going to be doing virtually. We're going to be sending them out on video, but we'll be live in September back at Central Moravian Church in the heart of historic downtown Bethlehem, and we're very excited about it. Sad to leave our home in Allentown here at St. John's, but if we were going to do our last virtual one, there's nobody better to have with us than Dashon Burton. Dashon, thanks for coming back.
It's really my honor, Greg, really. Thank you.
Dashon is going to sing three incredible pieces for you. The first, the Aria from the Christmas Oratorio, Großer Herr, at the end of part one of the 6 parts of the Christmas Oratorio. This fabulous aria with trumpet obbligato, just a magnificent piece. And then from Handel's Messiah, a piece that Dashon sings all over the world, The Trumpet Shall Sound, again with trumpet obbligato, a brilliant aria, and you'll hear those in a minute. And in between them, one of the Brahms 4 serious songs. These are extraordinary songs by Johann Brahms, who was a great devotee of Bach's music. He studied it. He wrote music in the style of Bach. He was very much informed by Bach's life and work. And for the 4 serious songs, he chose texts from Luther's German Bible. The first 3 are from the book of Ecclesiastes. And the 4th one that Dashon will sing is from 1 Corinthians 13, the famous chapter that Paul wrote on love. These were first performed at the end of May in 1896, within days of the death of Clara Schumann, who had been a very important person in Brahms's life, a very dear friend and a very significant influence on Brahms and his music. These were the last songs that Brahms wrote, and within a year he himself was dead. But this fourth one, from St. Paul's great hymn to love from 1 Corinthians 13, he talks in all of these songs about the transitoriness of all living things, the universality of mourning, the inevitability of death, and then in this fourth one, the everlasting nature of love. These are incredible songs, and Brahms sent a copy of them to his great friend, the violinist Joseph Joachim. And Joachim responded to Brahms and said, "Were it possible that just once it could be as beautiful in the hearing as in the imagining." And maybe today we'll get close to that. You'll see for yourself in a minute. Dashon, you've sung all four of the four serious songs. Tell us a little bit about your experience with them.
My experience with them is gratefully a long one. It was actually one of the first pieces I ever sang on any recital that I ever had. I sang it in undergrad, and I was lucky enough to have professors who let me sort of take on such a titanic cycle as an undergraduate. But it is so incredibly rich in emotion, in the relationship between the voice and the piano. The writing is really so supportive of the voice, and it's really in that inimitable Brahmsian style,
Yes.
where you just have this sea of perfect counterpoint and perfect just sort of harmonic support to really make the voice just be able to tell the story of these really very, very deeply dramatic texts.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is amazing how Brahms understood the poetry, the words, and the meaning, and he communicates that in the keys, in the harmonies, as you say, the rhythms. He understands the words so well. I mean, and it is, I think the writing in this fourth one especially calls to mind the German Requiem, you know, the way he sets that incredible text as well. And Brahms knew the Bible very well and chose his own texts and was very comfortable doing so.
You have all of these moments, even in the German Requiem, where not just the keys and sort of the writing, but even the meter, you know, kind of plays a part. And so, even in the middle of our selection from today, you have this glorious sort of 3/4 waltz kind of feeling section, but it speaks to that eternity before Brahms at the end of his masterful life and his incredibly just sort of enormous career and the amount of heart that he poured into this sort of thing. It really does speak to the writing in the Requiem as well.
Yep, absolutely. Well, tell me a little bit about your experience with The Trumpet Shall Sound. That's an aria you've sung all over the place, but tell us a little bit about that.
I've been really lucky with that, and I think most baritones are very lucky because it's kind of in the middle of sort of in our little corner of classical music. It's sort of in the middle of a season where most people are kind of on vacation or really looking for a wonderful kind of event. So it's done in a lot of community choirs and in a lot of community orchestras and also a lot of professional orchestras as well. So you have the opportunity to sort of be a part of this unbroken chain of tradition in this piece. And then it comes at the end of that, at a really amazing point in the dramatic arch of the entire story. So to kind of have the recit sort of emanate from this one of my favorite choruses in the entire thing. Since by man came death, and you have this moment of reckoning that the baritone has to help everyone understand why we're all here at the end of the life of Christ in this way, and you have this moment of knowing that there is more to come.
Yes.
So it's just one of the most powerful opportunities for anyone to experience as an audience member, and a very lucky opportunity to be the mouthpiece, so to speak, for the trumpet shell sound.
Well, I think Bach and Handel and Brahms all had a view to eternal life. And, you know, Bach at the end of the chorale in Cantata 140, he talks about spending life ewig in dulce jubilo, eternally in sweetest joy. And the trumpet shall sound and the dead shall be raised. And of course, Brahms in the Requiem talks about that and calls us to that kind of eternal view of life after life. And so it's so powerful. And then, of course, Christmas Oratorio has been a mainstay in your life. I love to tell people the Christmas Oratorio was heard for the first time in America in Bethlehem in 1901, performed by the Bach Choir of Bethlehem. But tell us about a memorable performance that you did of Christmas Oratorio.
Certainly, actually, one of my favorite performances was with Julian Wagner, who is a great friend of Bach Bethlehem as well, because our kind of connection runs back all the way to several concerts that we've performed together and everything like that. And Julian, I think, really over the course of 3 days, 2 cantatas per day, was able to sort of sew together the entire story into one experience for the audience, which is just something that he does really well, and certainly to sing it with the Trinity Choir is just one of my absolute favorite things. So to be in the choir and then to be able to sing some of the arias, I think it's a really special way, because this is the way that Bach had it as well, and so to be able to do it in that way is always a really special opportunity, and certainly one of my favorite performances of it.
That's great. Wonderful. Well, Dashon, thanks for being here. We look forward to hearing these 3 great arias now, and so glad you could join us. Thank you.
Congratulations on making it through this time, and really looking forward to seeing everyone in person soon.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Konig, liebster Heiland, oh, wie wenig achtest du der Erdenpracht. Liebster Heiland, großer Herr, o starker König, oh, wie wenig achtest du der Ehrenpracht. Großer Herr, o starker König, Heiland, oh, wie wenig achtest du der Erdenpracht, der Ehrenpracht. Die ganze Welt erhält, die ganze Welt erhält, ihre Pracht uns ihr erschaffen, uns in harten Krippen schlafen. ganze Welt erhält, die ganze Welt erhält ihre Pracht und sie erschaffen muss in harten Krippen schlafen. Starke König, liebster Heiland, oh, wie wenig achtest du dir Ehrenpracht, dir Ehrenpracht. Große Herr, o starke König, liebster Heiland, oh, wie wenig achtest du dir Ehrenpracht. Heiland, großer Herr, o starker König, o wie wenig achtest du dir Ehrenpracht. Großer Herr, o starker König, liebster Heiland, o wie wenig achtest du dir Ehrenpracht. Dir Ehrenpracht. Hätte der Liebe nicht, so wär ich ein tönend Erd oder eine klingende Schelle. Und wenn ich weiß sagen könnte und wüsste alle Geheimnisse und alle Erkenntnis und hätte allen Glauben also, dass ich Berge versetzte und hätte der Liebe nicht, so wäre ich nichts, so wäre ich nichts. Und wenn ich alle meine Habe den Armen gäbe und ließe meinen Leib brennen, meinen Leib brennen, und hätte der Liebe nicht, so wäre mir's nütze, so wäre mir's nichts nütze. Wir sehen jetzt durch einen Spiegel in einen dunklen Worte. Dann aber von Angesicht zu Angesicht ist die größeste unter trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible. The trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed, and we shall be changed. Trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed, and we shall be changed, and we shall be changed, we shall be changed, and we shall be changed, and we shall be changed, we shall be changed, and we shall be changed, we shall be changed. Must put on incorruption. For this corruptible must put on, must put on incorruption. And this mortal must put on immortality. trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible. The trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed, and we shall be changed. The trumpet shall sound, the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed, be changed, and we shall be changed, and we shall be changed, we shall be changed, and we shall be changed, and we shall be changed, and we shall be changed, we shall be changed, and we shall be changed. We shall be changed.
Thank you very much for joining us for this Bach at Noon. Your presence over the distance and the miles means a great deal to us. Please remember our wonderful challenge gift from Reverend Ron Miller. Please join him and join me. Consider a gift of $20, but your gift in any amount will mean a great deal to us. We wish you a very happy rest of the summer. Take good care. Stay safe, stay healthy, be well, and we look forward to seeing you in September 14th, for our first live Bach at Noon back in the sanctuary of Central Moravian Church. Hope to see you then.